So this is the 12th and the last video in the series that will have an attached quiz. It's about the evidence-based medicine searching, and it's designed for how to do an evidence-based medicine search while you're actually treating patients. So what is EBM? And I think everyone here is lucky that if I put some actual music to this, it would probably, the video would be taken down to copyright infringement. So, all right, what is EBM? It's the practice of evidence-based medicine. Means integrating individual clinical expertise with the best available external clinical evidence from systematic research, and that is just so many buzzwords. Like, if we crammed any more in there, we'd probably get a singularity. So how do you find answers to your questions in the middle of a busy ED shift? You could try Up to Date. It is medically sound, but you're at the mercy of one set of editors. Um, Please don't Wikipedia, and definitely don't do a Google search. I will talk a little bit about Google Scholar a little bit later, but we're going to bypass that topic for right now. So PubMed, I think everyone knows that PubMed is uh, the easiest source to access from a computer, but it can sometimes deliver results which are fairly intimidating. And it's not clear how you should sift through all that. Um, we'll get to this. This is a case we'll get into, but iron deficiency anemia and homocysteine and hyperhomocystinemia is not something that sounds really relevant to ED practice. So what you need is the mesh subheadings. Medical subject headings are terms that allow you to narrow your focus into things that are important. And the way you get to the mesh database is on the PubMed page. You go straight here to the mesh database, and we'll be getting there in just a little bit. But let's go over what mesh is. Mesh is basically trained study abstractors go through articles as they are published and put each article into various categories, and they're essentially tagging articles. They were tagging articles before it was cool, and um, later when you search PubMed, you can actually use these tags to um, to pull up research that's important to you. So, what does this mean? Let's have the rubber hit the road. So, this is a case that I encountered a few years ago. Ordered an abdominal CT on a female of childbearing age, and the urine pregnancy was positive. Uh-oh. So we did a quantitative, and it was like a low positive. And then incidentally, we realized, oh, the patient is end-stage renal disease. Does end-stage renal disease cause a low positive beta HCG in the absence of pregnancy? That was the question that I had. So what did I do? I went to PubMed and I went to the mesh headings, which brought me here. And I typed in end-stage renal disease in this box right here. And it immediately gave me there's only one subject heading that matches this, and it immediately brought me there. Sometimes if it doesn't know which subject heading to bring you to, it will give you a list of potentially of ones that potentially fit your criteria, and you can go through them. But this made it easy. So then I restricted to the major topics. That means that like in general, there'll be a couple major topics assigned to a paper and a dozen or so minor topics. And you want to make sure that you are focusing on the major topics. And I think this is where the power of PubMed really can be leveraged. So then you add this to the search builder. And then right in the search box at the top, I'm typing beta HCG, and I don't pick any of these things, though those don't appear to be legitimate. So I just hit search here with beta HCG, and this is what it gets me. There's two potential results. I don't know what tetanus toxoid has to do with anything of this, so I'm just going to pick this first one, chorionic gonadotropin beta subunit human. All right. Once again, I'm restricting to the mesh major topic like I did before. I added it to Search Builder, and now my search is complete. So I can search PubMed. And this is what we got. We get just 3 results, and here all the 3 of them are. And this seems to be very helpful, actually. The first one, it's an abortion, so the patient has a known pregnancy. It's not what we care about. But items 2 and 3 look interesting. So this is helpful. Basically, further workup showed that the hormonal elevation was secondary to ESRD without pregnancy. And this this case illustrates the importance of the laboratory's role in understanding the causes of elevated serum HCG. The discrepancies were explained by the patient's impaired renal clearance and the molecular forms of HCG that were measured by each assay. So it's clear from these 2 papers that it was caused by renal failure and not pregnancy. So what I did with this case is I went and I had shared decision making with the patient. And I said, based on these articles, I think it's safe for you to have a CAT scan. I do not think you're pregnant, which the patient very much ratified, and I documented that shared decision-making discussion with both of these PubMed IDs, the PMID that comes with each paper. And you can see it right underneath the title, underneath affiliations, there it is. So that I think helps make a case when you're kind of going a little bit on the edge. Now, what about Google Scholar? Here's beta HCG ESRD, and a lot of the same papers show up when I do that. So is Google Scholar a good tool to use or not? And I have some thoughts, but let's turn to science first. I did a evidence-based medicine search, and there are a couple papers. Here's one from 2009 that basically said the Google Scholar gave more results and it was less precise. This said it was about equivalent, but they weren't using, my methodology of limiting it to mesh topics. They were just free texting it, so maybe mesh topics are improved. And here is one that says actually Google Scholar performs better than PubMed. And as you can see, this is from 2012. It's entirely possible that in the past 10 years, Google Scholar has improved its algorithm. And can actually perform better than PubMed. But unfortunately, the science has dried up on it. People no longer seem willing to study it. Maybe that's a good research topic for you at some point. I'm going to slide into opinion over here. Here's my thoughts. First of all, your Google Scholar search is not really replicable because the process is a black box. You allow Google to make the decision of what to show you. So if you're to do this search later, you might not find these articles. So let's imagine a worst case scenario where you do an evidence-based medicine search, you do shared decision making, and the patient ends up having a bad outcome. And this ends up going to trial. Now imagine 2 scenes. One where you are on the stand and asked to say, how did you find these articles that you've cited in the patient's chart? If you go through the process that I elaborated for you with PubMed, you look like a doctor who knows what you're doing and is very familiar with evidence-based medicine searching, I think you will look more impressive than if you say, I did a Google Scholar search, which sounds, it, I think it makes you look less professional. That is my opinion. Obviously, this is well beyond the ken of science, but that's why I persist in using PubMed as a resource with this specific methodology. All right, there is a quiz attached to this. If you are taking this course for credit, don't forget to do it. If you have any questions for me and you're taking the course for credit, don't hesitate to email me. Otherwise, by all means, leave a question in the comments.